Hello there, everybody. This is Alex from Hardcore Guides, making my guide for Dead Space on Impossible difficulty. Today we are doing Chapter 10 entitled End of Days. This chapter is going to entail Regenerator is going to come back, and this is I believe, the crew deck of the Ishimura. I think so. I always get this part kind of mixed up with more of like the church, but I think this is like technically still kind of like a church part of it, even though like technically the church part kind of happens more so in 2, but here, you know, you can definitely see a lot of like the occult idea thing going on. So yeah, the Regenerator is going to come back again, and we're going to be doing all the crew deck stuff. Nothing too difficult. I think this is also the second time we kill the Regenerator with the ship, I believe. Unless that's the next chapter, which I think, well, the next chapter I think is just is it the marker platform one? Unless that's just chapter 12 itself. Yeah, I know, I really wish I wasn't this dumb half the time, but I really am. I tend to forget, but we'll figure it out as we go through. Oh, yeah, okay, so this little area first. I don't know how I could have forgotten about this. I literally just went over and reviewed, you know, what happens in the episode, but then I kind of forgot about this part too. This part should have some dividers that show up and then an exploder, but the exploder doesn't show up until like after you leave the room. And I don't know why I didn't decide to cut this part out, because looking at it now, it's probably going to take a little while to go through waiting on this door, but I didn't think that hard when I was, you know, fast forwarding through the editing and everything and kind of thinking to myself like, oh, it's probably not that long. You know, I fast-forwarded it through just fine, and it seemed to be okay. So from now on, I should probably start looking at these a little bit more better, even though I've already done all my editing, actually, come to think of it. Yeah, I've already done all the editing. Oops. I mean, it's not like I can't fix it. It's just, you know, do I really want to? That's the main thing. So, nothing of note is really going on right now. A lot of just kind of, I wouldn't say fluff, but just a lot of, you know, just running around and looking for stuff. And of course, like you see, there's the exploder that, you know, spawns pretty much outside, but he shouldn't come in here. I don't think he does at all. I don't think he has any way to come in here. I believe he only just stays and spawns outside. My guess is they're probably just trying to, like, scare you into thinking that there's going to be, you know, another bunch of exploders are going to pop up somewhere or something, but they don't. And then the guys down there, they shouldn't spawn until after we eventually go down. So, once they show up, you know, we'll deal with them when we deal with them. I believe there should be, yeah, there should be 2 dividers. And for those that are new to my chapter specific guide, I guess, I don't know, if you're new to my guide in general, then I'm just going to be using Force Gun on the divider parts, because I feel like it's just the best suited for taking out divider. And then I usually just chop them up first with the plasma cutter. So for those that don't, you know, haven't kept up with Dead Space as like a full guide and you're just here for a chapter specific thing, then yeah, that's what I'm pretty much doing. Do be careful though, whenever you use Force Gun, you will accidentally knock away items and such, so just, you know, be careful, and if you happen to knock it away, try to keep an eye on like where it might have ended up going. Although a lot of the time I end up missing where it goes anyway, because I'm kind of dumb. Although there's, you know, that one. But I think there might have been another one I might have missed. But it's fine. It's no biggie. This is just Dead Space 1, where money and items and ammo and all that other kind of stuff is a bit more lenient, especially as you get further down the road. It starts to become a lot easier to kind of just have a bunch of stuff. And I know this because I was recently playing through Dead Space 2 on PC. I finally got it on Steam. And of course I still like Dead Space 2, but damn, does it really go through your ammo if you're not, you know, careful about it. Because they give you tons of opportunities to kind of just use those spikes to impale enemies and what have you. But I decided to not take a lot of those opportunities, and I ended up having to buy ammo a lot of the time because I just kept using ammo on enemies and not getting much back from it. So that's something about Dead Space 2 that I would argue that makes it much harder than Dead Space 1. Also, the exploder should have been here, but I think he's on the way back. I think when you're coming back through here is when he decides to spawn. So coming up in this next room, of course, there's a Guardian, and I'm just going to use force gunshots. Flamethrower should work well on him too, if I'm not mistaken. Flame wall, I should say, with secondary fire. And grenade shots work pretty damn well. Especially the pulse rifle grenade launcher from 2 and the remake works really damn well for... Okay, well, not much for the remake, but more so like Dead Space 2 in general. The pulse rifle grenade launcher works really well against them. I usually take them down in like one shot. It's crazy. Speaking of Dead Space 2, I kind of forgot that you could actually upgrade your suit damage. Like, you can upgrade your melee damage pretty much. I say suit damage because, like, it says suit, but I believe it's your melee damage. I'm pretty sure. At least I hope I'm right about that. But yeah, a lot of the reason why I'm getting a lot of things confused right now is because I've just been kind of going back and forth between, like, multiple games here. Like this one, 2, remake, you know, and all that other fun stuff. And I pretty much, at this point, brought it up in every single video, but I've talked about the remake in, like, at least every single video. And, yeah, I should have known that would have been a problem. I tried not to this video, but I already screwed up, but that's okay. That's another thing, too, is, like, I kind of consider people probably don't watch these guides from, like, beginning to end. They probably just watch, like, a chapter-specific thing to figure out, you know, what they could potentially do to handle a situation. And that sort of thing. And usually when it comes to Dead Space 1, you know, Impossible Mode is not what I would consider incredibly hard. So, most of the time, like, a tip or, like, a piece of advice for, like, a guide on, like, a specific part would make more sense than just the entirety of the game. You know, like, the turret section, for example, like, it would make more sense for somebody to look up a video on how to do that section better than it would just, like, oh, how do I beat this, you know, this beginning area, like, how do I get past it? But, you know, I don't know. You know, I don't know for sure what people are planning to look up or anything like that, so. But in the near future, if somebody happens to come along and they're like, yeah, I was watching from beginning to end, you know, because I needed the help, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I could have, hopefully, you know, been of help with that, but it really depends. So this next area, speaking of areas that could be difficult, some things are going to get a little bit more harder in just a bit. I'd say this is definitely one of the more slightly harder chapters. Not by like a long shot, but just by enough to where it feels like it's a different chapter compared to the others. Because every other one has just been kind of like, you go from one hallway to a room, and then you kind of deal with like an arena of enemies, like an arena per chapter, or per every other chapter or so. It wouldn't be per chapter, so like per every other so chapter, but this one just seems like it's kind of like, it feels like it's arena to arena, and you know, I kind of like that aspect, really. I kind of enjoy the Dead Space 1. I kind of want to have a ton of fights that I could just go through, because honestly, I feel like Dead Space 1's gameplay is just phenomenal, and I still feel like Dead Space in general just plays so damn well, and I'm so glad that they were inspired by Resident Evil 4 to make the system the way it is. So, at least in terms of the inventory. I don't know about the other stuff, but I would assume that most of this game has been inspired by RE4, at the very least. And regardless of what people say about RE4, whether or not they like it or not, you know, that's up to them, of course, but for me personally, I think it did a pretty good job at introducing a new type of third-person action game. And I know that Resident Evil is usually, I mean, I want Resident Evil to be scary just as much as anybody else. It's just that I don't mind having the other half, the other side of things, just being, you know, one side being scary and the other side being kind of like action, you know, campiness. I don't find that really. It depends on how well it's done, you know, because I feel like, you know, 4 did it best. 5 was pretty okay. I didn't care much for 6. Revelations is okay as well. I haven't beaten them yet, so I can't really say. The Resident Evil 2 remake is pretty good, you know, both as a horror and an action. And then Resident Evil 2 itself, you know, I like a lot. So, yeah, alright. This next room is where I think things are going to get a bit more irritating. So, try to remember the door that you come through, because this is going to help out a lot. So, as you can tell, this place has 0 oxygen, and of course I don't have air tanks because I never run air tanks. That's just a thing I do. Now, if you're running cheat codes, then you obviously can use the air tank cheat code. I don't remember it dead offhand, but there's also a cheat code for stasis. It's unlimited. You can use it however much you want. I recommend looking up those codes if you haven't looked them up yet or don't know about them. That way you can kind of get an idea of how to use them, and then eventually it just become like a pattern recognition thing, and your brain will literally just know what to do. But if you're like me and you're not running air packs, then run back into the hallway that you came from to get a refresh of air. And if you want to get air faster than what I got right there, run to the other door inside that hallway. That way the door that you're coming from can close faster, because it just feels like it does. Maybe that's just my brain thinking that it does, but I feel like that's the case. So this next room, this one's going to be another slightly difficult room because it's going to have the regenerator that's going to pop up, and of course you're going to have a lurker that spawns and a pregnant that's kind of just, on its, it's just crawling to you. So it shouldn't be too hard, but of course you're going to have one of these assholes that just shows up either from behind you or in front. So I'd say just try to stay near this door that you came from as close as you possibly can, and then deal with the enemies coming toward you rather than going to them. Because, again, I don't have a lot of air supply, so I'm just kind of just taking my time to do what I can. And as you can see right there, like, I notice I have, like, 30 seconds left, and I'm like, I probably could have gotten out, but, like, I'm just not taking that chance. And I run to these rooms with at least 30 seconds left on the clock, just in case, because I feel like I need to have enough time between, getting the door open and, like, getting away from enemies and such, and just, having that amount of time in between just in case something happens. Like, so just in case I get hit or something, or have an enemy that I have to deal with at that time. That way, I don't run out of air, because running out of air is going to suck. And it's been a long time since I've run out of air in this game. I don't remember the last time I have. It might have been like a first playthrough or so. It's been so long, and I feel like running out of air is just almost nearly impossible, regardless. Because it just seems like it never really happens, especially if you upgrade your suit enough. But I never really upgrade my suit for air. I do one node, just to have like the extra 10 seconds or whatever the heck it is. Just in the off chance, give myself a little bit more time. And to be honest, a lot of sections don't really have a lot of zero oxygen areas anyway, so realistically speaking, not having air supply doesn't really do much to affect me that much. But yeah, remember this door, so at the very least you can make sure you get in and get out and you're okay. And that's my general advice for this area, is just knowing that and knowing, of course, where enemy spawns are. But that's just typical, at this point in the game. I believe I've explored almost everything except for, of course, these bathrooms, which I think I came into earlier, but I was just grabbing some extra ammo for later, because thankfully these bathrooms do have a lot of stuff inside of them. Okay, well, this one's not a bathroom. It just happens to be a door to another area. So, yeah, I think that's it for this room. Yeah, and we got one half of the first part that we need for whatever objective that we're going for again. And then we're going to head to the next one. So this is the section I was talking about that gets a bit more difficult as it goes on. It's just this entire, like, no oxygen area. And then, of course, these crew deck rooms and stuff is where enemies start to get a little bit more annoying. Especially because they end up spawning a lot more super necromorphs. And that's just going to be a pain. Speaking of things that are kind of a pain, this is just kind of a me thing, but yesterday I couldn't get any like commentary stuff done because my computer just refused to turn on, so that was fun. I do a lot of my editing on my old computer, which is a bad idea, but I'm too stubborn to do anything on my new one, so that's just I know it's dumb, and it's gonna bite me in the ass, and I know it is. It's so I have to be more careful, but yeah, and I was kind of upset that I couldn't do anything yesterday, but that's fine because I can finally do something today. So once we start coming back here, this is when the exploders are going to finally spawn, and there's only like a couple that spawn anyway. There's not too many. There's at least 2, maybe more in the front. There's, of course, seems to be some dividers that got through somehow. Divider parts, I should probably call them that. Now, something else that I've done when I was doing my Dead Space 2 run was I was grabbing the divider parts, and then I was carrying them like with kinesis and throwing them across the wall whenever they die. That way I can at least know for a fact that they're dead. Because if I see a divider part on the ground, I'm probably going to think, okay, he's not dead yet, I got to kill it. Because, like, you never really truly know when they're dead. And that's what pisses me off about divider fights in general, is because you never really know. Also, I ran away from that door because you can't go there yet. They'll lock you out. Like, you can go in that door, but, like, the door after, you can't go. Because that's going to be the main area we're going to go through later. And yeah, I think this is the ship part where you burn the regenerator again. So, back to the store, and, you know, I sell some stuff, and I believe at this point, we're getting close to getting, I think... No, we already have level 5 suit. What the hell am I talking about? Yeah, there should be level 5 suit, I think so. I'm not good with the whole store thing. I'm trying to remember if it tells you if you bought it or not. I'm being kind of dumb. But anyway, so coming into here, you know, another super is going to be to your left. You're going to see him literally walk in front of you, so do what you do best with supers. Nothing too grandeur with that, you know, nothing too specific or too crazy. And then we have the 0G ball. And for those that are wondering how the heck the point system works, it's very weird how it has a high score thing, but it kind of doesn't. I think you only need to make 16 shots per. I don't think you need to beat your high score. I think you, like, every round you have to have at least 16 points. If I'm not mistaken, if I read that correctly, because I remember going through this game again, and I was thinking, like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to go, you know, get a high score and then go 1 point above it, like the next round? And it's like, well, it turns out that you just need to have the bare minimum of every round, or every level, whatever they call it, to have, you know, it be done. And I hope that I cut out a lot of it, because I did try doing it, and I just kind of got bored doing it, so I didn't bother. Even though I do need to get my trophies again, but still. Which I might have actually already gotten 0G1, actually. I might have gotten that, actually. I believe so. The minigames are kind of neat and fun for what they are, and you do get stuff out of it, so if you wanted to do it, you always could. I mean, granted, like, I think you mostly get, like, maybe a power node and a schematic, or not schematic, but, like, a semiconductor, so I'd say it's definitely worth doing it, and like I said, when it comes to the thing, the main trick is you want to get, like, 16 points, and then how to get a score multiplier is, like, truly beyond me. If I had a guess as to how to do it, I think you're supposed to wait for one of the hoops to, like, light up, and then maybe it does it, or you're supposed to wait or not use it too much. As in, like, not use the hoop too much, like, not just keep, you know, throwing the ball in the same hoop. I think might end up making it to where the score multiplier might go up higher. That could be wrong too, but that's investigation for something else. And this is just a minigame that I don't really care to really bother with doing. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I'm showing this off. I think I just shoot like one in there and I get tired of it. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do the whole thing, waste all this time. Just for like a small little schematic, just for a power node. Like, I don't care enough. It's not for me. And then also on like the back of your neck, you can see like a kinesis thing that shows you like, I assume, you know, maybe the timer for the ball. But I don't know. It's not. It doesn't explain anything very well at all. Like it really doesn't explain shit. So you're kind of just left on your own on that one. So my guess is as good as yours on the minigame one. As far as I'm aware, like I said, you just have to have at least 16 points every round, and then you should be okay, at the very least. And let's see, what's next? I think, well, of course, we've got to get the next part, and that should be dealing with more of the crew deck stuff. Should be. Yeah, it's this room. Okay. Coming into this room, pods are going to be in here. You have cover, so you can use that if need be. Not a big deal. But this one's going to get a little bit hectic later. Whenever we get to the point where we've gotten the next objective done and we're, you know, coming back through. Because that's how Dead Space works. Things don't spawn until after you've done the objective, and then they kill you. So, alright. gonna grab some ammo, gonna grab some supplies, and what have you. And then we're gonna have, I think the regenerator is, I think he does spawn in this next area. So we're gonna have to deal with him, but that's not too bad. Honestly, regenerator's not as bad as it really kind of seems like it is. It really isn't. It just depends on like your energy for your stasis and stuff, and how much ammo you pretty much have. If you have enough ammo to cut down his legs, you should be fine. And of course, you know, if you need some supplies, no door works wonders. If you need it that bad. So, and of course, you know, I decided to use my advantage and just get some ammo, because I know I'm going to need some. I got some force gun, I guess, so it works out. Alright, so now we're going to do a puzzle, and we're going to do like some Onimusha-ass, you know, puzzle here, where it's just pretty much just like so damn basic. Even though, you know, excluding the water puzzle, for God's sakes. From those that have played Onimusha 1, you probably know what I'm talking about, and you're probably like, oh, dear God, not that one. And it's like, yeah, I know, I hate that one too. Man, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just keep yawning. I'm just tired. You know, it's what happens, man. That's what happens. I'm not even really exhausted. I'm just tired. It's just been a long week. Been a hectic week. Been an emotional joyride, I guess you could call it. So, yep. All right. Easy enough thing to kind of figure out. You just kind of just make room for, you know, yourself to slip through, and then just try to remember exactly what the pattern was that you went through, what doors you took, and what have you. And you should be okay. And then after you've done all this, you're gonna start running back, and then of course regenerator's gonna spawn. And he's not going to cause too much trouble. He's going to pretend like he does, but he really doesn't. So, I just go straight for the legs, and usually, not all the time, but usually I do try to chop off his arms too, because it takes him a little bit longer to kind of grow back if you cut off everything, for those that don't know. And then, you know, I just turn around and just stasis him again, just to make doubly sure that he's just not going to follow me around. Now, of course, he's going to be more of a pain in the ass when you have to deal with him inside of a fight, which is going to come up very soon. But usually if a regenerator spawns and he's far enough away not to bother you, then just tackle whoever the hell's after you first. But if he is truly getting in your way and he's getting to you, and he's becoming too much of a problem, like right now, where he just pretty much just vented, that's pretty much a good time as any to just, you know, take him down. But of course, since I'm not into a fight, there's no reason to use anything else but stasis. If you're outside of a fight, just use stasis. Like, you know, why bother just wasting your ammo? But if you're in a fight like right now, which is going to have a lot of enemies, this is where we're going to use stasis and, of course, you know, chopping off his limbs. And yeah, I'm just going to bully, you know, the first super. It takes a bit for the other guys to start spawning in, it seems. But one super's going to spawn, and then after that's going to be another, you know, a super lurker, and then I just, you know, force gun. Because force gun uses... It's relatively good against, like, just smaller enemies and small fries in general. As you can see, like, it does quite a bit of damage without even having to actually, like, chop off its limbs either, which is crazy to think about. So next up is going to be another super from the other end that we came from, and I just do what I normally do against, you know, slashers as always. I just kind of just wait for him to spawn in. But yeah, I would consider this part kind of hard, but if things do get a little bit rough, just use the cover to kind of like get away, you know, to just kind of get a little bit of breathing room between you and an enemy. If you see an enemy spawn, like especially like a lurker, and you just don't want to deal with it right now, then hide behind this glass. Just find some cover, and you know it'll have to move itself around to kind of, you know, get to a good spot on you, but that shouldn't be too much of a worry, because lurkers are not really that bad. Yeah, I know their pod shots do a bit of damage, but they themselves really just kind of just not really much of anything besides just a nuisance. Alright, now we get to weigh even more. Oh, boy. Yeah. Let's see. Where are we going now? I don't even know how I even picked that damn thing up. I don't even remember. I just kept picking the damn thing up. Just want it gone, damn it. Alright. Also, I think another reason why I'm tired is because, like, this is Dead Space 1. I've been doing this guide for, like, the past couple weeks now. It's like, at this point, I'm pretty much just done. You know, I kind of want this thing to just be kind of over with, but I don't know. Okay, we don't have level 5 suit then. What the hell? So I was wrong. We're only on level 4 suit. What the... Okay, well, I apologize for lying, but, you know, people that know will probably know. So, something that I kind of overlooked was an infector spawns in this room. And if you don't want to deal with a bunch of supers, then I would recommend taking out the infector as fast as possible and not going to the store. So after you've dealt with the regenerator and all that other fun stuff, that's when you're going to want to deal with the infector. And there should only be one infector, and I think there's just already a super slasher that just spawns anyway. So, you know, just deal with them as you see fit, of course. Just making sure he's dead. And of course, this little asshole. I don't even know where he came from. I think there might be a second infector again. No, okay. I don't think so. I was gonna say I don't remember there being a second one, but I've been wrong before. And yeah. Something I wish Dead Space 1 would have had was a quick ability to just use stasis, you know, whenever you want without having to go to the damn inventory for it. But luckily they changed that in the upcoming games. So yeah, now I finally officially have a level 5 suit. I don't know why I kept thinking I did. But now we have our answer. So thank goodness that's been finally, you know, quelled. Because, good lord, I could never figure it out. But yeah, now you can see, like, we have pretty much just, like, complete, you know, around my legs there, too, that you can see that, you know, finally got fixed for armor. And it looks like the back's gotten changed up a bit, too. Not much of a helmet change, but, you know. That's something that I do actually want to say that I like a lot about about Dead Space is the suit upgrades. And I like how in Dead Space 2, instead of just getting, like, a full extra armor upgrade, you know, you get a new suit to play with, and you know you can have like a different variety of cosmetic effects, especially in 3 that kind of, you know, look pretty cool. So I really like that aspect. And I was making a joke the other day about like Resident Evil 4 remake, like what if they do a thing where you can upgrade your jacket or whatever, like you can get like a new jacket and play around with that, and that could just be considered your health bar on the outside. But I don't think they're gonna do that. That'd be funny, but Dead Space, it makes sense, because you literally are wearing a suit, so why not have the ability to just actually upgrade said suit visually, and also get like a cosmetic upgrade to it too. I mean, granted, yes, Resident Evil 4 has skins, I know that, but you know what I'm saying. Which that's another thing that Dead Space deserves to have praise for, is the visual feedback of things. Because the game at all times tells you, you know, your stasis, it tells you your health, it tells you your armor. When you aim in, you can see your ammo. You can't see like your entire, you know, amount of ammo that you have in stock, but for the most part, you have a good idea of how much ammo you have in it, you know, in a magazine or whatever. So, upon coming in here, as you can see, I just stayed near the door and I used Force Gun on Pregnants, because the thing with Pregnants and Force Gun is sometimes the Force Gun does not activate them to explode. And it seems to be kind of just a somewhat rare occurrence for it to actually explode, but for the most part, if you do like the regular primary fire, then they shouldn't blow up. But even if they do, then you can use Force Gun on the swarmers. The swarmers to kill them. So use that as you will, of course. And if you want to be more safe and secure, obviously going for the limbs is the best advice. Making a Pregnant explode is just not the optimal thing to do. Pretty much in any situation, regardless of Dead Space game you're playing, because if they start to actually attack you, not only do they slow you down, but if there's like a ton of them on you at once, you will be draining health quite fast. But if there's like one or two, then they don't drain health that much. Or really at all, really. So, that's something to kind of keep in mind about, you know, Swarmer fights. And like I said, Pregnants, Force Gun seems to sometimes work really well against them to make them not explode. It just gets like a nice, easy kill for what it's worth. And you can just kind of just blast them at pretty much any part of the body, and it seems to kind of work. And I like that, you know, I really do like that a lot. But this little area, I actually like this little area. I actually like this chapter. I think it's kind of a fun chapter. Compared to, like, Chapter 9, which, at this point, I think I've already, you know, decided that that's my least favorite chapter. Just for the sole fact of just having such an annoying amount of things to do, or whatever it was, and... yeah, just being kind of... a little irritating to go through, I guess. To me, at least. But... and then, visually, I just don't like it either. But, that's just me. But, you know, everybody's got to have a least favorite and a favorite chapter, right? But in terms of favorite chapters, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I mean, most of Dead Space 1 is pretty damn fun. I'd say most of it's kind of like a favorite of mine. I can definitely tell you, like, the jungle area is definitely not a fun place. The Weezer section, I don't like that one very much. That's like a second least favorite of mine at this point. And then, favorite-wise, maybe Chapter 2 is pretty... I like Chapter 2 a lot. But then again, I'm the same guy that likes Medical Pavilion from BioShock, so, you know, you kind of... I get, like, a similar vibe. And I've always kind of liked Dead Space for the fact that it kind of reminded me of BioShock in a way, where it's just like this living quarters of a place that's gone, you know, awry. And then, I know BioShock's probably not the first... it's technically not the first one to do it, but to me, as somebody who's played BioShock... a lot, you know, I kind of just make comparisons to it. So, alright. Next up is a regenerator fight, and there's going to be more enemies that are going to spawn, and I'm just kind of hunkering down near this little area right here to kind of just, you know, I'm staying near the bridge, and I'm staying near, like, the vents and stuff to kind of make sure that no, you know, jackass stasis guys are going to spawn through. Typically, you don't want the regenerator to get across the bridge. You kind of want to take him, you know, down while he's on the bridge, but... of course, if he makes his little way across, then, you know, just use stasis. Try not to, like, tear off his legs or his limbs until, like, after he's crossed, or until he's at least on the bridge. That way you just make the fight go by a little bit faster. Because, God forbid, we don't need him crawling to it. But, yeah, I just, you know, chop off one leg, use stasis, run to the room, and it should be good. Because he can't crawl that fast anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then with the other enemies, they don't matter either. They'll eventually get in somehow, but for the most part, they don't really... they're just kind of there. They don't do much besides just get in the way. And even then, there still was, like, what, one that spawned in that we got to fight. And then after that, like, another one spawned, but, like, even then, he wasn't even, like, remotely around us. He just took forever to get there. So, something else you could do is you could... like I did, you know, where I ran across the bridge and then started running back to the door and then having the regenerator, like, go toward the door. You could do that, too, to kind of make it to where he takes a little bit longer to get to the door. Or even a vent. But then again, he might turn around and go to that vent. I don't think so. I would guess he'd probably go to the vent next to you. I don't know why I didn't cut this out. I completely forgot to. Probably because when I was fast running through it, I didn't realize that this was a cutscene section, and I kind of forgot about that being one, so that's my mistake. That happens. I make mistakes. And the way I see it, it's too late to edit it now, because I'm already doing commentary, and I don't want to, you know, have to go back through and do them again. So. Alright, well, now we can finally, you know, take a little bit of a chill pill. I don't think the stasis guy is going to reappear. Even if he does, who cares? Because stasis enemies are not too difficult to fight. They're actually kind of fun to fight. So, yeah, I think we're getting close to the end of the chapter, and something I guess I could kind of talk about is I've been recently watching this guy on YouTube that does drawing videos, because, you know, I've been trying to, like, practice drawing and learning better and what have you. Yeah, I've been doing it for years, but, you know, you always use more, right? So I've been watching this guy on YouTube. I forget his name. It's like it's like Chomain, I think his name is. But he's got a really nice ASMR type voice, you know, and it's just fun just watching him do it. And that's something that I've kind of learned is when it comes to wanting to learn something, for those that are curious, it's always nice to have something fun to attach it to. That way it makes it much more interesting. And when you're interested in learning something, you're going to have a lot more fun and you're going to retain that information a lot more. Also, don't forget about this door right here that you couldn't go through before. You can go through here now and grab a heavy med pack. But yeah, so, you know, I was watching him do like hand stuff and I'm like, Jesus, you know, it's so easy. You know, when people just are good at showing you like step by step, and it feels so good to finally just be able to just, you know, cross that line too. I like drawing hands a lot, but sometimes, you know, I get really pissed off whenever they don't look right, and that just kind of happens. Oh, alright, cool. Another Infector fight, so this one's not too bad. He's just gonna basically just not move. He's just a sitting target, practically. That's pretty much what Infectors just end up being, for the most part, regardless. So, power node time, bench time. But anyway, yeah, back to like that, you know, drawing thing. Like, I'd recommend checking him out. I think, oh, you know, I could actually go look up his name right now. I know he's Korean. What's the I don't usually do this for hardcore, but hey, I'll do it now. Yeah, it's CHOMMANG_drawing. So he's got like, you know, tutorials and stuff on how to do like specific things. Because like I said, you know, you could always use more, right? You could always use more learning utensils and stuff to kind of get yourself better. Speaking of things I need to learn, I need to get back to doing Blender, but I haven't done that in a hot minute. It's been a while. It's been months since I've touched Blender, just because I've been doing other things. So, outside of Blender, like 2D things. But that's just my own damn fault for not learning and playing with it more often. But Blender's kind of fun, too. But anyway, that'll be it for this video. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next time. So, take care, everybody.